Hi everyone, my name is Tessa Moran. I'm a childhood inclusive education major here at SUNY Fredonia. I am a sophomore and I am doing this video essay for my queer studies and literature class that I'm taking this fall. The book I'll be talking to you about today is This Bridge Called My Back. It's actually an anthology, and the editors are Sherry Moraga and Gloria Anzaldúa. Hopefully I didn't butcher those names too bad, and hopefully I won't have to say them too many more times in this video. So let's get started. Millions of books are written and read by millions of people a year, but only a fraction of those books read will have a significant impact on the views, opinions, and even someone's life. In order for a book to have a purpose, it needs to have intriguing direction and an intriguing theme. It needs to be written by a well-educated author, or authors in this case, and may have a well thought out audience in mind. A book that encompasses all this is the book we're talking about, A Bridge Called My Back. Not only does encompass all this to make it a proactive, fascinating book, but the various authors that bring all their ideas and opinions to it will make it relevant throughout the years. It not only appeals to women of color, but it certainly has many other identities that the authors find fluid within themselves. This includes, but is definitely not limited to, queer issues, feminism, and race issues and social classes. Basically, the book deals with any type of group that's has been oppressed. Through intersectionality, which we will talk about that later, this showcases what it means to be an important work of literature. So it's made up of all different types of writing centralized around a common theme. The theme that the book puts on it is radical women of color. Although racially they are united, another commonality is their goal for their writings. They're looking to unite through various identities. Although they might be different in many ways, what differentiates them also unites them. All these women have seen oppression and successes in different ways in their lives, and that's what they're trying to represent. Like the title foreshadows, they are looking to bridge the gaps that society sets them apart by. The book has over 25 different authors within it, from poems to personal essays to even interviews, testimonials, and artwork, which is really new within this fourth edition. The work of literature inside of it is very diverse. A special addition to the fourth one is, in the beginning section, Sherry Moraga writes about how the book came to be. She starts talking about how she met the other editor and author, and she goes into detail about why they wanted to write the book. And I'm going to quote right from the book, actually, her words right now. She says, "We want to express to all women, especially to the white middle-class women, the experiences in which divide us all as feminists." So that's straight from her what she really wanted to accomplish. She discusses the construction of the book in this section as well, the effort and the expenses that went into it, and the first edition was produced in under 2 years. And that's very fast for this type of thing. And people are wondering how the urgency happened and why it was so urgent. And she really says it's because everyone that was involved in creating this book really believed that it was needed in society. And so they want to get it out as quick as possible. And she ends this section on a really great note, saying that generations past, present, and future will all need this book to flourish as women and just people in society. So the fourth edition, the most recent one actually, Sherry Moraga and Gloria Anzaldúa, the editors, and Audre Lorde are three women that I really want to talk about. So, A Bridge Called My Back. Sorry about that. Like I said, three important authors that I want to talk about are Sherry Moraga and Gloria Anzaldúa, which are the editors, and then the other one is Audre Lorde. And so let's start with Sherry Moraga. She comes from a Chicano family, born and raised in California. Her identity struggles stem from looking white, but feeling a deep connection with her Mexican roots. Moraga comes from a family of storytellers, which inspired her to become a writer. She graduated with her bachelor's degree in English in 1974. After that, she became open with being a lesbian after she finished her undergraduate degree. She started writing lesbian poems and eventually got her master's in feminist writing. She believes that being a lesbian showed her firsthand the oppression her family experienced daily, since Since she doesn't look white and they do, that really brought them together. Although hers was a sexual oppression and theirs was racial, it really brought them together to understand each other. So Gloria Anzaldúa was born in Texas in 1942. She identified as, hopefully I don't butcher this pronunciation, Tijana Petlache, which she translated into being Chicana dyke feminist queer. Her theory in relation to her identity was that history needed to be rewritten. Her biggest criticism was that it needs to encompass a more analysis of race, gender, and social class across borders, as she would say it. Borders to her wasn't only geographical, which would be the Mexican-American border, which she identified with. The borders were also the borders between identities, which really go along with the bridge we're talking about here, because borders stop them and the bridges are trying to make them come together. So she unfortunately passed away in 2004 due to complications with diabetes. Lastly, Audre Lorde is one of the many authors that are represented in this book. She's especially significant because of her influence outside the book. Before she passed away from cancer, she was striving to make sure her message spread as far as possible. Until the very end of her life, she was filming a documentary to portray her thoughts, opinions, and writings to the whole world. She strived to really represent all the aspects to who she was as a person. She was a Black, lesbian, feminist, poet, and mother, and did not describe herself as just one of those things. She is best known for her poems and the intersectionality in them. She, along with the other writers in the anthology, are looking to bridge the gaps once again. She is an exemplary writer for this book. A theme in A Bridge Called My Back analyzes heavily the relation of queer theory of intersectionality, like I've been talking about. This can also be considered the elimination of binaries. Intersectionality relates to the bridge used in the anthology. The bridge is what connects all the identities in one person. For me personally, I'm a white woman who is heterosexual. I'm a daughter, a sister, an aunt, a granddaughter, Catholic, a student, and many more things. I don't need to identify one of those things just to make up who I am. Bridging all the gaps of my attributes make me intersectional. In the segment, The Master's Tools Will Never Dismantle the Master's House by Audre Lorde, she discusses with her audience how oppression and differences do not need to divide women. She states, and I'm going to quote right from her, "It is a learning how to stand alone, unpopular, and sometimes rivaled, and how to make common cause with the other identified as outside the structures, in order to define and seek a world in which we can all flourish." This is a great representation for the queer theory theme in this book. Different from other queer literature, this book deals with more than just queer issues. The authors don't want queer issues to be the main factor to unite or divide readers. They're looking for queer to be one of the many oppressions and similarities that bond readers. Intersectionality is purposed in the book to encourage fluidity within their identities and let everyone just be exactly who they are and not try to fit into one social category that society tries to put us in. So basically, the editors of this book claim that the book's going to stay current for a while. The issues and the lessons that they are teaching in this book will never fade from being important. And personally, I have to agree with this. Even if one issue, whether it be race, sexuality, class, etc., gets solved completely, another will arise. Society will never be perfect, but intersectionality is a life lesson toward becoming an accepting and peaceful society. What I found to be intriguing and valuable was the overall approach to the book. Using only women of color was an interesting concept, I thought at first. It seemed to appeal to the binary way of life. But upon reading many of the stories, they use this to show how people can be grouped into one category and have vastly different lives and experiences. They use society's ways against them to prove their point. It is a well thought out concept that I really enjoyed reading. One of the other positives about an anthology is it can be an easy read. The sections are shorter and it's not necessary to read every story in it to grasp the concept. That makes this book acceptable for all types of readers. Many people have a fast-paced type life and they might not have time to sit down and read an entire book. It is simple to pick out a passage or two and read it in your pastime, though. My favorite line that I read from the book was in the bridge poem by Kate Rushin. The line states, "I must be a bridge to nowhere but my true self, and then I will be useful." It impacted me greatly while reading the poem. It puts a spin on the classic phrase of being true to yourself. I interpret this as saying you cannot embrace intersectionality and impact or teach society its ways without wanting to do it for yourself first. Someone must be comfortable standing out in a crowd against the majority in order to be able to happy with their own fluid individual traits. A Bridge Called My Back is made up of many wonderful authors. Like I said, these three women that I especially talked about, they brought an insightful and important view to the book. They have intriguing themes, especially intersectionality, the bridges, and the borders are some that I picked out to share with you. It's really going to stay contemporary in the years to come. Anyone can relate to an aspect in this book. It has a large audience, short text, and different forms of writing within it. It makes the anthology not only a great book, but a necessary resource for society. Oppression is not special to one group. It is a shared issue in our society and in our many fluid identities. It makes up who we are as a people and should be a uniting factor of all the world. This book portrays that in a greater way than many other works of literature. So thank you so much, and if you haven't read it already, you definitely should.